When you put your hands around somebody's throat and squeeze, there's only one thing that's intended to do: kill.
Nobody, I don't go scratching and punching and threatening. And some of these people are put in an environment, they're victimized to where they really don't have, that they want a relationship that's peaceful.
Kill. To kill someone. That's what you're doing it for. There was no other reason to grab somebody with your hands around the neck and to squeeze. Like, you're out of here. You just disturbed this court and interrupted me by shouting something out. You can leave. You're outside. I can put you in jail for 180 days for that outburst. You were Lynn LaSalle Jr. We were present with your attorney, Mr. Burbank. And this is a very serious matter here. You were charged with the third-degree felony of assault on a family member. And you've pleaded guilty here earlier. A pre-sentence report has been prepared. Have the parties had an opportunity to review it? Any corrections or changes to it?
Not from the bench judge.
Not from the state? Then it's made a part of the record for all purposes. A couple of things I'd like you to talk to that jump out, of course, is it's correct he would not be eligible for probation in front of a jury.
That's correct.
That's correct. And I'm looking at criminal mischief convictions. He was on deferred or unadjudicated probation for that, and that was revoked, and he picked up 16 months in the state jail. Then I'm looking at in 2008 illegal possession of marijuana. Looks like
45 days.
He was placed on probation in 2 cases, marijuana, and it says illegal possession of controlled substance, 18 months deferred, revoked, 45 days in jail. It says I'm looking at 2 different cases there. In 2006, date of offense 1/22/06, and the other 10/15/06. Possession of marijuana, illegal possession of a controlled substance. Those were packaged together, and he was put on probation, and then it was revoked, according to what I've seen. Then driving while intoxicated. In 2013, 90 days in jail, probated for 1 year. And then thereafter, family violence in 2018, and 1 year in jail, probation for that. Then it was this. Did you get your resetting? You need to come in and you can move on with your life. So now assault on a family member, but he had assault family violence earlier in 2019, along with his other stuff. And this is problematic. If y'all can answer, if you can answer to those. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, please, Court. Your Honor, when he took the plea a month and a half ago, you talked to him at length prior to taking the plea and reference to what was going on. When he got out of the state jail the last time, he actually moved and is living in Houston to try to get away from the problem.
What's that address?
4801 Allendale Road, Houston, Texas.
Also, if I may give it, I'm sorry.
What's his in?
77017.
Go ahead.
Also, when he went over to Houston, he also acquired his daughter, which is probably the real problem to stop. The mother and him at best, depends on what day it is, depends on who says what, but it gets kind of, I guess, combative. And this time at the convenience store, which was the basis of this back in June of 21, There was some argument in reference to his daughter, and who mom was bringing the daughter around, but the solution to that was not to start a physical altercation, though he would readily admit to you that he does, and she can push his button, and also kind of gets to him when he really shouldn't. I think that you talked to him about that a little bit when you took the plea, because, as you said to him, was that the child basically is the only one that is in the middle of this, and is the, I guess, the recipient of this isn't good.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is a good,
This isn't good.
is not,
Hell no, it's not good for a child to be in the middle of two parents that can't get along. He has asked and was upfront with the probation officer when he did the PSI that he does need anger management, would take the therapy because he needs to try to keep it under control. The one thing I have heard, though his past is the telltale sign, is that he does have a job now. He has been providing for his daughter, which is young. He also is providing for his older child with a job. As I said, he has removed himself from this area, trying not to be tempted or get in trouble again. Mom has reached out to my office, though I've had limited conversations with her. I think the court or the district attorney would agree she was probably not cooperative because they had to go and chase her down to subpoena her that day. And there again, she was saying one thing to Mr. LaSalle and doing something completely opposite.
I don't understand.
She wasn't, she said, she kept on telling him that she wasn't going to come to court, that they were working it out, and that everything was okay at the time that this came to trial.
All right. Nothing new in family assaults.
That's right.
Nothing new. But generally, it's not a product of people just like to get beaten up or choked or whatever it was in this case here. It's not that they enjoy that. That's why they call for help and then drop charges. That's not what it is. It's generally the fact that they don't feel comfortable with the way it takes so long to resolve issues. And that's just a product of, there's too many of those kinds of cases that are just working their way through the system. But I don't believe it's because they're masochistic, I think, and they're stuck with situations with family. It's a family unit that's being broken apart, which is just naturally a undesirable thing for most people, no matter how much hell they have to go through in the situation. But
And
here is a bad, this is a, yeah, I mean, once again, when you put your hands around somebody's throat and squeeze, there's only one thing that's intended to do: kill. Kill. To kill someone. That's what you're doing it for. There was no other reason to grab somebody with your hands around the neck and to squeeze, like is it occurred in this case, according to the probable cause affidavit. I can't imagine doing that to anybody. I've never done that in my life to anybody, but I can't imagine somebody I quote loved, I had children with, pledged life with. So quite naturally, you want to squeeze their neck. But hey, you admit it. You've got anger issues. It's clear in here. You've got anger issues. That's what you said, unless you lied to the probation office.
And Your Honor, even with this and him pleading, he still has custody of his daughter. He is still being the primary caregiver. And I don't know what his relationship, if any, with the mom. I think he's been staying away. Oh, well, because the court has ordered him to in reference to seeing the young girl. So we asked Judge that you place him on probation. I believe it's a third degree.
Yeah.
Probation could be for up to 10 years, as the court does. So deferred would not, it could be 10 over 10, or...
Can you explain, though? He received probation in 2019 for family violence, and this isn't his first rodeo in this regard.
Absolutely. And that's
He
why...
didn't learn much, apparently.
Well, and that's why, Judge, I told you that the chemistry between mother and father has come to this predicament. And that's the reason why he left and went to Houston to get away from it.
Well, I guess that's why somebody invented divorce court. But there's a way of handling that, if you can't work your problems out, there is a way of handling it in a method that's not strangulation.
They weren't married, Judge, and no one ever brought up the custody matter in court to try to get some orders and try to get some relief.
You got a child, right? Together.
No.
You're out of here. You just disturbed this court and interrupted me by shouting something out. You can leave. You're outside. I can put you in jail for 180 days for that outburst. You can't control your emotions any better than that. I'm sorry, but you can't be interrupting the court with outbursts. Are they part of this? You don't even know them?
I think that was just
Was that a medical issue?
I don't know what that was, but
Dennis, find out if that's a medical issue that we need to attend to, because you just can't blurt things out like that incoherently. I didn't understand. It was a loud noise. Go ahead. Where were you? Go ahead. Anyway, the point I was making about this, the children. The children see them. You don't think they're harmed forever?
And that's the whole problem, Judge, is that it's this child that was put in the middle of something that she shouldn't have put in the middle of. And if you have any questions of Mr. LaSalle, Judge.
No, I think the pre-sentence report is well written. What does state say?
problem we got with all this argument is the criminal mischief he was on probation for 2014 involved yet another woman. Smashed up her car, yeah.
It's just not being...
And the way he treated the mother of his child this time by dragging her around by the hair, strangling her in the car, hitting her, pushing her around, doing everything out there in a public place. I don't think he needs to be out and around in the public. He needs to be locked up because he's been given chance after chance, and he seems to mess up on his probations since back in 2008 when he had probation, 2015 when he got probation. He's been revoked. He just doesn't get the rules, and evidently he knows he has an anger problem but doesn't do anything about it. And I just don't see anything really worth giving him probation out of the way he treats people and the way his criminal history is. So we'd ask for the 5 years.
Your Honor, that whole incident involved the child, and the environment the child was in at the time or was visiting at the time. And yes, he handled it the wrong way. He admitted to the court. And yes, he's had problems with people before. But that's where he admits there. he needs to correct it. I think he's taken the first step in trying to get that corrected by getting out of the environment, and keeping a job, and providing for his child, which wasn't taken away from him, based on this offense, by the gone to court, as you alluded to, the divorce court.
And my life has changed. I have to control my
For the better
temper.
or for the worse?
For the better, I have to control my temper around her because she's beating me 24/7. I don't really do nothing. All I do is go to work and go home.
Squeezing somebody's neck
I mean,
and choking someone. You can speak here and say, choking someone as many times as you have been through the system where you make a mistake, you're in front of someone and you've lost your control of your own life. Someone else, a stranger like me, ends up doing it. But here, how many times does it take for your anger issues to be dealt with responsibly? You haven't. But I'm not going to say, okay, thank you for telling me I'm really going to follow the rules this time. That's not, it's your actions that speak. But we're going to fashion a sentence that I believe is fair under the circumstances. But you've had, the system is built each as a progressive sanction. Let me speak. Progressive. You commit another crime after you committed them before and been punished, the punishments are higher. It steps up. And that's the theory of law. It doesn't, the more crimes you commit, the less serious are the punishments. That's not the way it works. Because and when it's repeated, the same type of behavior is repeated, it gradually gets higher. Or sometimes it takes a big leap up, depending upon the type of crime. Look, it's not all this hard. You're talking about people with children. All three of these, I know these people. And they don't get in trouble. But I know the way they do things is before they make a choice, they can look, it's not hard for them to look into their children's eyes and go, whatever I'm doing, if I'm going to make a stupid decision, it's going to hurt them worse than me. And I don't want to hurt my children. But that's the result of what happens when you're not thinking. And you've been through this before to have gone through the thought process of next time this happens, I've got to put my children first. You're number 3 in all of this. Like we all are. Our creator is 1, our family is 2, then we're 3. But you've all vaulted way above that. You keep putting yourself number 1 in your choices. And then here you are. But you're going to pay for this somehow. And it's going to be a fair disposition. But I'm sorry for your children. That's who I'm sorry for. But I'm also sorry for the person whose neck you grabbed and squeezed, my goodness. Which, again, the only reason you do that is with an intent to kill somebody. Because that strangles somebody. There's no other reason to do that. Anyway, we're going to reset in 2 weeks.
Then it's made a part of the record for all purposes. The agreement in this case is that whatever sentence shall not exceed a cap of 5 years in prison. So I guess we're looking at no less than 2 nor more than 5 years in prison. I guess deferred or unadjudicated probation is an option. Regular probation, I guess, is an option. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we were here before. We took a recess in reference to some issues you wanted us to take a look at. In between that time,
this is some letter of...
This is from his new employer, Judge, since the last court date. And he has been hired on as a department head, supervisor at Turbo, whatever, over in Houston. And that's to show that...
turbine pump.
Right. on that. Also, Your Honor, I have been in touch with the complainant, and I know what the video shows. It shows that they got into something that he shouldn't have not done. He does have a past, I think, that had come up before in front of you in reference to other instances.
I see a criminal mischief.
Right. And then, well, there was also some family matters that were discussed before. He still has a young child. He's the primary caregiver over in Houston for, she's a minor. And it does involve the child and the mother. I think he probably just took the wrong course of action with mom. But he has had continuous, though she says, and I'll be very frank with the judge, she says, well, he's not letting me see her, but he is living over in Houston. I believe she's over here in Beaumont, or in this area of Jefferson County area. But this all started over the care and condition of the child, and that he felt that she was not being taken care of properly.
Who?
The child was not being taken care of properly by mom. There again, I think he took the wrong steps. I think he admitted that he does have a history of kind of taking the wrong steps, and because it's right there in the PSI report that the state and you pointed out the last time we were here. I'd only ask for some consideration in reference that he needs to be corrected and punished. If he goes to TDC, there are more people than him that are going to be hurt, and specifically is the daughter or the child. He does have some other family members that, like today, are taking care of her. But he is the primary and has been taking care of the child. You do have the power of deferred and to review every couple of months or every 6 months or so, or weekends. He is over in Houston, so you have to drive back here to Jefferson County. And then I think we did talk about shock probation, Judge. And it's my understanding, for the record, that because he has a prior state jail felony, but he would still be eligible for shock probation. Is that your understanding, Mike?
Yes, sir.
But I would just ask that you take it all in consideration. He did what he did, and there's no getting around that. So if you have any questions of Mr. LaSalle, then I'll be more than happy to answer them, Judge. But I'll represent to the court after the last court hearing. I called mom at least once, maybe twice, and it wasn't what he did. It was, how am I going to get access to my daughter? That was the whole crux of it. And after advising her, and I will tell you that, well, maybe you should get an attorney or somebody to go out and get a family court order, which they don't have. Maybe it would kind of correct some of this stuff. And I think it went through one ear and out the other. So
The elephant in the room here. A couple of elephants are in the room here.
I wasn't going to punch my ticket on that one, Judge.
It's in the first assault on this lady. You pleaded guilty, I presume, but you were convicted, placed on regular probation in 2019 for, let's see, assaulting Jacqueline Frank, the same complainant here. Let's see. by scratching her face with your hands, and at the time, there's a family member. And I'm looking here that the probable cause affidavit was again, let's see, it was communicating with the defendant, leaving work, advising him she was coming to get her daughter. LaSalle kept telling her he was bringing her, found LaSalle in the parking garage of the hospital. LaSalle appeared intoxicated, used his right arm to wrap around her neck and telling her to shut up. Then let her go. She attempted to grab her child. He began to claw at her face and eyes, kept swinging at her with his fists, but missed due to his intoxication. The complainant had a large bleeding scratch on her right lower arm and also multiple red marks and slight bruising on her face and neck. Her mouth was bleeding from a scratch on the inside, but wasn't aware where the blood was coming from. Okay, so a big deal was made about this. You come into court with a bunch of strangers who now enter into your personal lives because you aren't acting responsible and peaceful. Are you married to this lady?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well,
And if I may,
sometimes
for one thing, and when all this happens, which has happened several times, this is what was presented. This is from her, and here, that's the mistake. I don't understand why
well, because we all know what happens is, and it happens in this kind of relationship, and it never happens from the male's point. It's always the woman, but the woman's kind of stuck in a situation. I sympathize with them. I've been in a relationship for 40 plus years. And you have good times, bad times, great times, actually. But in difficult times, it's worked out responsibly. I don't go scratching and punching and threatening. And some of these people are put in an environment, they're victimized to where they really don't have, they want a relationship that's peaceful. But you make this a living hell for this poor lady. So we made a big deal about it. You were put on probation. And here you are. Let's see. Didn't take very long. You were placed on probation for a year in 2019. So I guess you were released in 2020. So let's jump ahead to June of 21. A year later, opens her vehicle, grasps her by the throat with both hands, throws her keys on the ground, grasps her by the hair, drags her, causing her to scrape her arms and legs. Well, that almost seems familiar. Held her down in the parking lot by applying pressure to the back of her head, causing injury to her face. Hold on, though. Where's the child during this? Right there at the scene? I'm sorry. Let's see. Beating the truck and shouting at their daughter.
My daughter was.
No, I'm sorry. This says Lau came to her home on Harding Drive, began beating on her truck window and shouting at their daughter. He then followed her to the Conoco, located at East Lucas Drive, reached in the window of her vehicle and grabbed her by the hair. No. When I'm through, Mr. Bully, you can speak. I tell you, guys who beat up women and girls, pick on girls, they tend not to pick on guys, but you push around girls. I don't like that. That's you interrupted me again. You're a bully. You like to have it dominating your way. But in here, we have the rules. You'll get a chance to speak, Mr. Bully. But you've struck my sensitivity. First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me if I don't hold you accountable. Well, You don't bully people, especially people you claim you love, who are women. And I don't see in your criminal history picking on guys. Isn't that interesting? I see a possession of marijuana, possession of controlled substance, driving while intoxicated. That was above 0.15. You have no self-discipline. You don't have self-discipline at all. There's the assault, disorderly conduct, failure to appear, 4 public intoxications. And here we are. Criminal mischief, you were placed on 2 years deferred or unadjudicated. Pull that up, please, that felony. I'm kind of interested in what the facts are on that one. Did that have anything to do with this lady?
No,
The criminal
this was
mischief?
a different woman.
What's the?
What? A different woman? What's the cause number? Do you happen to have?
The cause number is, writes it on. And then two 1668, so it'd have
That was a
been,
state jail, wasn't it?
yes, sir.
But these letters, I get them all the time from women who are battered women from the relationship. And, I don't know why they stay in the relationship, but they shouldn't be punished for that, for trying to make something work.
Question.
There's no crime for trying to stay in a relationship because they would like it to work, especially as their common child between both of you. Yeah. In spite of you and your criminal actions, I'm not surprised that they're trying to salvage a family. You, on the other hand, are working vigorously to dissolve a family.
Mhm. I just have the indictment now.
Let me see it.
You want the PC? Here's the.
Yeah.
I'm printing out the indictment, but I did not. It's like,
Let's see. Destroy an automobile by jumping on and kicking said car, throwing an unknown object at said car without the consent of Carolyn Evans, the owner of the vehicle. Another woman is a complainant. Another girl. And it's a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship. You just don't know the meaning of love, do you? No, you don't. It has nothing to do with violence. But this is the third female that you are in a relationship with that you've assaulted or was involved in assaulting your property. You observe the defendant exit his vehicle, go to the apartment. He was yelling, beating on the door, damaged the property that was on the porch. Then you were witness to go to the car, cause over $2,000 worth of damage. Then get in your black Chevy Camaro and not stand around and try to explain or fix the mess or wait for the police, but you fled. You fled. You don't handle your issues at all well. And this is the second assault of this same woman. A third involvement of some kind of assaultive behavior to another woman, a third time. But once again, that's somehow you just feel like you were the dominant species and you forgot that we're all in this together. And a woman, lady, has as much rights to live peaceably as you do, in spite of your rules of behavior. So you see, I don't like these facts. And it's not like I don't have experience in dealing with relationships with a woman. You work things out, but you don't damage their property. You don't scratch their face. You don't grab them by the throat with your both hands and by the hair and drag them. So, anything you want to say?
I apologize for everything that I've done, but
How do you take it back? How do you fix it? You're supposed to fix it by, if you make a mistake, you learn from your lesson. You go, I touched the oven, the stove, and it burnt my hand.
I definitely.
But you keep grabbing at the stove. You know it has consequences. A bunch of strangers now, me, for example, are in your life, your personal life, because you are irresponsible in dealing with your personal life. And it's one thing if you want to just beat the heck out of yourself or scratch yourself, or, that's bizarre, but not others. In front of children, they've got to see this. They've got to see the results of it. Don't tell me they don't. But this is the third time, sir. I just
judging them.
and
And I also pointed out that
you were placed on probation, then pleaded true on this. This was that criminal mischief. Then you pleaded
also pointed out the motion and it's
true to some violations that resulted in of probation. So you've been on probation twice, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, for this, number one, for this state jail felony on the criminal mischief, and it was revoked. And then you were sentenced to 16 months in the state jail. Then this assault, family violence, you were on probation for that. And it doesn't look like you were probation for 1 year. That doesn't look like it was revoked.
No, sir.
And then, so here we are. You were on a possession of marijuana back in 2008. That was a misdemeanor. It was revoked. And then looks like there were two deferred probations, a possession of marijuana and a possession of an unknown controlled substance in misdemeanors. They were both revoked at probation. Your DWI, it looks like you served that out in 13. The family violence in 19, you served out. The criminal mischief, you were on probation and that was revoked. We just kind of run out of chances, don't we? When you're doing the same thing or similar. What state say?
Judge, due to the limited injuries on the victim, I put a cap of 5 years on this. Would recommend the 5 year. I don't think I need to argue anything more. You've kind of covered all the bases.
Okay. Or anything else? Any rebuttal for that?
No, Judge, I mean, there's no argument with what you said. no argument with what the state said. He does have a past.
Well, this is the present.
Well, in the present, and then you could kind of see with the complainant. I don't understand her.
Which, well, but we see this. They're made to feel like they're the bad person. I know how that works. It's a twist, but the grand jury didn't indict her. They indicted you.
But even with all this, Judge, she still didn't take any steps to get her child back. I mean, here's because there's some precedent that says if there's family violence, the family court has to take that in consideration in reference to designating the conservatorship of the child. And she's never done anything, but then she turns around and writes something like that. I don't understand it because we saw what happened between both of them. And then when I talked to her, it wasn't, he's no good. He needs to be locked up. It's, when do I get to see my daughter? I mean, I want to see her, or we have to come to some arrangements, or that's what I want, is something that I can, and you do. You shake your head saying that's not correcting any problems. And
we've seen it over and over again. Yeah. It's victims have lost trust with the way the system works, especially in family instances. They don't know who to trust anymore. This is the second time he's assaulted her. She's going, what's the system doing to help me keep from being dragged around and my throat choked? I can appreciate reluctance of her to turn to who's supposed to help me here. Just terrible, Mr. LaSalle. You ought to be the poster child for breaking up families, not putting them together, sir. Really. I've never, it happens, but it's terrible. I mean, a family is one of the most wonderful gifts we can all have, but you don't take a precious gift and choke them. You don't scratch their face. That's just terrible. And this court stands for something different from that. Anything else?
No.
If not, I'm going to find you have pleaded guilty here voluntarily. You are mentally competent to do so. You understand the consequences of pleading guilty. There's sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea from State's Exhibit 1 here, admitted in your plea hearing, to support the indictment, to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of this third-degree felony. I'm following this agreement. You are hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 5 years. And you will be given credit for all time that is credit-worthy. You don't continue to commit assaultive behavior, especially on family members, and expect the punishment to get lighter. It steps up because you're not getting it. It's not getting through you. That if you have an anger management problem, it's not for a bunch of strangers to force you into that. You need to take your own responsibilities and independently go help yourself like everybody else does. We're all imperfect. We all make mistakes. It's how you deal with your mistakes and fix them until you ring up a lengthy criminal history. That's the difference between responsible behavior and irresponsible behavior. You have handled relationships irresponsibly, and a family, families are very important. I do all I can to try to keep them in a unit, but this is like a concentration camp, the way you handled your responsibilities. You've got women, it's consistent. Women are the ones who are assaulted by you. That's no way a gentleman acts. You're not acting like a gentleman, sir. You're a bully. Bullies when they step over the line, they will get punished. And I beg you to start acting responsibly and treating ladies with the respect that they deserve. When that happens, a wonderful team, family unit blossoms. You are not helping the growth of a family unit. You're only working against it with violent behavior. You need to stop that. You will be held accountable. All right, that is all. Do better, sir. All right.